Okay, so let's discuss. We have a normal annuity occurring, an ordinary annuity. So we have T0, then we have T1 where we make some payments. And we're making payments that's negative, which means we have a present value, which is positive. And T2, same kind of thing. PMT is negative and continue on until Tn, the end part, where we have PMT, which is negative, and then we get a future value equal to 0. And let's just do n minus 1 for consistency. There we go. So there is our ordinary annuity structure. Now we're going to be looking at the case where there is some missed payments. So let's look at T4, T5, T6, and T7. And let's assume they're missed payments, 0, 0, 0, and 0. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try and make up these missed payments by changing how much we're going to pay from here onwards. So we're going to have a new payment amount. I'm just going to call it PM2. So instead of this PMT, we're going to change it to PMT2. So it's a new value that we're going to use here to pay off our loan. So we're going to update how much our monthly payments are in order to make up the missed payments that were sitting over here. Now, to do that, we have to consider like the slow process here of breaking this up into parts. So we have to look at it at first as up until where does a normal ordinary annuity play out? It plays out up until this time period just before T4. So, and let me just change my pen to something more worthwhile. There we go. Up until this T3, one before where we start missing the payments. So that is going to be where it goes until. So we have part 1, which is going to be the original annuity structure. PVs are positive. Then we have T1. Then here we have T2. And here we just go to T3. You'll go up until whenever your missed payments start. So you have PMT minus, PMT minus, PMT minus. And remember, you need to break this up into similar structures for working out. So then you could work out a future value for this one at T3. Now you're like, okay, what's the next similar structure? So from T3 to T4, and let's just draw this with different color. So from T3 to T4, and then T4, T5, T6, T7, you have just an standard compounded interest occurring. So you're earning interest, but you're not making any payments. So it's just your basic compounded interest calculation occurring there. Up until T7, you have that happening, which means you're going to want the future value at T7. Then you have that new annuity occurring. From technically T8, you start making payments, PMT2, and T9, you have the PMT2, and you continue down all the way until Tn, PMT2, with future values equal to 0. But as you know by now, when you have an annuity and when you have an ordinary annuity, you need the 1 month before that to start it off. So 1 month before you start making payments. So you need that T7 value for your present value. So now you can see there's 3 parts to this. And I'll stop numbering the parts. My bad. So that's part 3. And we have, that is part 2. So what's happening here is everything's built into the annuity, and the annuity is being adjusted to account for those missed payments, which is a very different situation to those other 2 cases that we discussed, where it was seen almost as like a parallel loan, and the interest is still being made on that, but it's been in that secondary loan, that interest is incorporated in it. Here, it's all incorporated in one. So we have to be careful with it. Okay, so let's go do an example. And so we have a loan of $8,000 was secured at an interest rate of 10% per annum compounded monthly. The loan is said to be repaid in 20 equal monthly payments of R443.32. And assuming the 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th payments were missed, we're going to incorporate the missed payments into the payments when they restarted, while maintaining the duration of the loan. That word is spelled wrong, maintaining. There's an I in missing. But the whole idea behind this is that we're going to adjust our monthly payments to incorporate the missed payments of the loan. So let's start off by just drawing our original annuity. So we had the T0 with our present value equals to 8,000, and it's an inflow of money, so it's positive. And then we had our T1 where we make a payment, and that's negative. And just a reminder, the payment is R443.32. Then we have, and I can't handle my handwriting there, so let's just rewrite it. 443.32. Then we have T2, and it's going to continue on. We're going to have T19 and T20. And right now, you can just see that this monthly payment is occurring over there, and it's going through over there, and last but not least, it is going through over there, kind of thing. But over here, our future value is equal to 0. So that's the original annuity. Now things are going to change. So we're going to have missed payments at 10, 11, 12, and 13. So T10, T11, T12, and T13, instead of the PMT 443.32, we're going to have 0, 0, 0, and 0. And we're going to update, so we're going to change our monthly payments from T14. So we're going to have PMT2. So we're going to have PMT2 at T19 as well, and at T20. So let's just update that. So that's going to become PMT2, and that's going to become PMT2. And I'm just going to neaten this up a bit. There we go. Get rid of that. PMT2, PMT2. So we're going to have new monthly payments occurring there. All right. Now we need to fix some of the stuff. So we need to make it look like the structure that's supposed to look like. So if we stop our payments at T10, our first annuity is going to run until T9. So we're just going to add in that first annuity extra information there. So it runs until T9. So then we need to work out what is the future value at T9. Then we have from T9, and then T10, T11, T12, and T13, we have just a standard loan occurring with interest being made, but no payments are being made. So we need to work out at the end of this period here what the future value is, because at the end of that period, and if we look at just the yellow part, we have an annuity structure, and we know when we have an ordinary annuity structure, we need 1 month's information before it. So we need the present value at T13 for it. So we need the future value at T13 to use as the present value of T13 for part 3. So 3 parts. We have our original ordinary annuity up until the month before we miss the payments. Then we have part 3, which is from the month before we miss the payments to the last month we miss the payments. And then we have a new ordinary annuity, keyword on a new one because it's restructured, and it's So it's going to be from the last month we don't make a payment to the very end. And we're going to use that one to work out what the payments have to be to give us a future value still equal to 0. So let's just move our screen a bit so we have more space so we can talk about the working out for all of this. So I just want to copy the wording across so I don't have to keep scrolling up and down when we talk about this. Okay, and I'm just going to put it in the corner here quick. And now we're just going to move the entire screen. And I'm going to put that in the corner there, just so that if you need to remind yourself what the values are, you can see it in the lower corner. So let's put down all the information we need for part 1. So part 1, we have PV is equal to 8,000. The 8,000 that sits there. We have IY is equal to 10. We have CY and PY is equal to 12 because it's monthly payments and the interest is compounded monthly. Over there, you can get the information from it there. Okay, we have our N, which is the T9 minus the 0, which is 9. And then we have the PMT, which is minus 443.32. And now we can work out the future value. So a reminder, this is just an ordinary annuities working out. So if you're uncomfortable with this, I suggest you go watch the video on ordinary annuities before coming back here. So if we go ahead and put in all our information, we're going to get a future value equals to, on our calculator, it's going to be minus 4494.90, meaning that we still owe that amount. And we're going to store it on our calculator so that we can use it in part 2. And when we use it in part 2, it's going to be a present value, so we're going to want it to be positive. So don't forget the plus minus situation before recalling this variable. And remember, the AMRT is just usually variable A on your financial calculator. Your financial calculator may be different. Then we go to part 2. And part 2 has a present value that was the future value of that one. So it is 4494.90. And once again, recall it from your memory. Don't type it in so you don't lose any valuable information. So it's going to be recall wherever you stored it. And we want it to be positive. So because it was negative on our financial calculator, it will be plus minus. Then we're going to have IY. It hasn't changed. There are questions where it can change, so be careful. And CY is equal to PY, which is equal to 12. N is equal to 13 minus the 9, which is going to give us 4. And then we need, let's have a look. We have PV, we have IY, we have CY, we have N. There is no PMT, so we can just calculate our future value on our financial calculator. If you're uncomfortable with calculating just normal compounded interest, please go back to the video of compounded interest and recap. And that is going to give us a value of minus 4646.61. And once again, we're going to store this in our calculator to use in part 3. So I'm going to store it in variable B, which on my calculator is behind the bond button. Okay. Now we're at the part where we're going to create a new annuity, and that annuity is going to run from T13 to T20. So we have part 3. So the information for part 3, firstly, is the present value. It's 4646.61. Once again, we're going to use the recall when we put this into our calculator. Okay, we have our N. Our N is 20 minus the 13. So the 20 minus the 13, that sits over there. Then which is equal to 7. Then we're going to do the IY, which is equal to 10. CY is equal to PY, which is equal to 12. And a reminder that this can actually change in your questions. In this question, it doesn't change. Then we have the future value is equal to 0 at the end. We don't have to put this into our calculator because if we have cleared things properly, our future value is automatically equal to 0 in the default values. But I just want to remind you that when you're in the end, that's why I'm going to tell you, hey, the future value is equal to 0. And we're going to put this information into our financial calculator and solve for PMT. So we want to solve for PMT. And if we go ahead and do that, we are going to get the PMT is equal to minus 686.11, which means we're going to pay 686 Rand 11 cents. So our new monthly payments are 686 Rand and 11 cents. Okay, and that is pretty much it on our financial calculator.